Hello, hello. Welcome to my first Facebook Live. Finally, I took the leap. And you know what actually made me take the leap is that I have some really profound insights about the personality that I simply had to share. I know you and me and everyone I know, we struggle some way in relation to our personalities. It may be the same theme showing up again and again, or the same stressful situations, or certain aspects of ourselves we're trying to change that we just simply get stuck with. And we're not actually stuck with this. Sometimes it might feel like we are, but we simply don't know how to get unstuck just yet. And I actually have a way to share with you. And that is why I took the leap to get outside of myself and share my first Facebook Live. I'm seeing a lot these days on my social media and on my feed about personality tests. For example, the Enneagram, the Myers-Briggs, there's the Oceans. There's many personality tests. And I think they're fantastic because they really serve with awareness so that we can know ourselves better, so that then we can actually transform out of that. However, I think with personality tests, while they're fantastic for awareness, I think there is a limitation there in the sense that we don't have to be, our personalities aren't actually set in stone. And I know it can be quite a radical concept, especially in the Western world where we're conditioned to think, oh, this is my personality, this is how I am, this is their personality, this is that person's personality, that's just how they are. We always hear these idioms like, oh, a leopard doesn't change their spots, or a tiger doesn't lose their stripes. Essentially we're conditioned to think our personalities are set. And I used to think my personality was set. I used to think, oh, I'm shy, that's it, that is the way it is. In fact, years ago, I remember when I was in college the first time, many years ago, when I was still a teenager, and there was a point where I had to do a presentation that was going to be video recorded. And I remember, and I was shy, and it was just my personality, as far as I saw it back then, was just I don't do that. I don't speak in public, and so I'm just not going to do it. And as much as I also like to be top of the class and an A1 student, that belief about myself was far stronger at the time. So I forfeited that assignment and lost the grade just because I had this belief about myself that I'm shy, I don't have the courage to do that. That's it. That's just the way it is. Thankfully, that has changed a lot, and because I've learned about my personality, and I've learned how to transform it effectively and quickly. Yeah, it takes practice after a while, but once the initial transformation has been made, after that it's just a practice. And thankfully, because there are some parts of our personalities that don't actually serve us. They do get in the way of us living our best lives. Sometimes they actually even unconsciously contribute to the suffering that's going on in our lives, and the continuous stress and how we respond to life. So thankfully, our personalities aren't set. Before I go into sharing a little bit more about the personality and how I've learned how to transform my personality, and how I want to show you how you can transform yours, I'll introduce myself and I'll give a little bit of context for all of this, for this work. So my name is Aisling Clardy from Ireland. You may have guessed by my accent. And I'm currently living here just outside Richmond in Virginia for almost a year and a half. I work at, for the last 5 years, I've been working in a higher education institute in Ireland. It's a UNESCO chair, which means it's a UNESCO appointed research centre. We do a lot of international work, essentially to make the world healthier and more inclusive. And we do that by advocating for and the inclusion of people with disabilities in all kinds of physical activity, physical education. In addition to that, I'm also an Awaken Life teacher. And Awaken Life it's a global social movement, and we have a vision, and we're dedicated to a world of global enlightenment. And this vision is also powered by the vision of Saima, an amazing, amazing woman, global humanitarian. Saima is an enlightenment master. In fact, in India, she's received the highest title within the Vedic tradition of Jagat Guru. Title, I think Saima is the first woman in thousands of years to receive this title. And Ma's dedicated to global enlightenment also. And so a lot of the work that we do in Awaken Life is in the context that everything is energy, and that once we realize this, it's a lot more easy to transform ourselves and then transform how we are in the world. You know, I said there a little while ago, global enlightenment is our vision. And what that essentially means to me is that we have a vision that every single person on this planet is a full expression of their highest self and their unique individual gifts. That sounds pretty great, doesn't it? And so, hey, Erin, thank you. Thank you. And so, when it comes to each of us being a full expression of ourselves, when we think of our personality, like I was sharing, if our personality inside that context is set and our personality is who we think we are, sometimes we don't have the full potential to be all of who we really are. Like I shared that example earlier. So when I was in this context of, oh, I'm shy, I'm self-conscious, I don't have the courage to speak publicly, I wasn't actually able to fully express, say, for example, as my current path has, my current role requires me to present and travel and speak publicly. Whereas inside that context of, oh, I'm shy, I'm self-conscious, I could never have done that. And I refused to at times, like I shared. And so in that context of our personality, sometimes we are not who we think we are. We can be far much more than that. And this context of the personality, so when we think we are in certain ways, there's a limitation. And so this view that I have of the personality, and that in the Awaken Life movement, how we perceive our personalities as these network of patterns that unconsciously guide our thoughts, our actions, and our behavior. And this is all happening unconsciously. And the thing is, yeah, and it's actually quite a fantastic thing, because the beauty of patterns is that we can work efficiently and move through our lives efficiently. And it's fantastic, because we don't have to be remembering every day that I wake up, oh my gosh, what do I like? How am I in the world? You know, what is it? How do I respond to certain situations? The thing is about these patterns in our personalities is that some of them serve us and some of them actually don't. Some of these patterns actually contribute to the stress or the suffering that goes on in our lives. And some of us are aware of these patterns. And you might be aware of some of these patterns yourself, but also you can be sure that there's patterns in your personality that you're not aware of. And there's many. And even myself, engaging in this work for many, many years, sometimes a pattern comes into my awareness and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, the pattern I was so in my way of being that it was a complete blind spot, because that was just how I perceived the world to be. And that's just how I kind of, that was the glasses of perception that I had on. So when I take off the glasses, it's like, oh my gosh, the world is a different color. And so within this context of our personality as this pattern, as this network of patterns, and essentially network of energetic patterns, we actually have the potential to, once we identify a pattern, to transform it, especially in particular a pattern that doesn't serve us. And so some of these patterns that don't serve us, whether you're aware of them or not in the first place, you know, it doesn't, you know, you can be easily guided into that process. But the thing about these patterns is there's usually some sort of fear-based energy underneath the pattern that's actually fueling it. So really, so we have the pattern here. Say, for example, in my case, it was like, oh, I'm shy, I'm self-conscious, I'm not going to put myself out there. But really, when I look underneath that pattern, what was actually fueling that pattern is actually this energy of, this fear-based energy of fear of criticism, fear of judgment. So when I was able to identify all of this and actually like, oh my God, that's a fear of criticism. And first, even just acknowledging it for me is a huge step. It's like, oh my gosh, it's a very freeing stage in the process for me. So, and then I can do some really simple energy practices to dissolve that fear. And from there, the energy, that fear-based, the pattern doesn't have the edge that it used to have. And you know, and these patterns, we can continue to do work with these patterns. So we'll do work with a pattern, and sometimes it can crop up again. Like say, even in the context of even sharing this video, it's been on my to-do list for probably weeks, if not months, to share to do my first Facebook Live video. And all of these, you know, there was this procrastination going on, and it was like all of these, there was always some reason that was preventing me from doing it. And when I really sat down with myself and got present, it was like, what's really going on here? You know, there's this pattern of procrastination and avoidance and, you know, the busyness that was, you know, that was preventing me from doing something I knew I needed to do. So when I had a look again, I was like, oh my gosh, there's still another little layer of that fear. There's a fear of criticism in there. You know, oh my, why have I put myself out there, and this is public, and oh my gosh. So I was able to identify, oh, there's that little energy of that fear of criticism. It's still kind of hiding somewhere in the corners of my personality. It was like, oh, I could dissolve that energy then from one of the practices that I've learned. And really after that, it was so easy. You know, it was literally mind-blowing how easy it was for me then to just be in the flow of, yeah, I'm going to do this. And it was just there. Yeah, there was still a little bit of excitement / nervousness beforehand, but it was a natural, I think I would say a natural experience rather than something that was actually getting in the way of me taking some action. And so essentially, that is a lot of the patterns work. And so as a way of service to you and in this, inside of this Awaken Life movement that I've shared with you about, and as an Awaken Life teacher, to serve you and others in identifying some of these patterns so that you can become a full expression of yourself and your unique gifts. There's a really short, powerful program called Introduction to the Personality that I'm teaching here in Richmond and in Midlothian in the coming weeks and months, where I guide you and other participants into identifying patterns in your life. Whether you're aware of them or not, it doesn't even matter at this point. You know, there's some really simple ways of helping you and guiding you and identifying a pattern, and then digging a little bit deeper into your subconscious mind and identifying what is the fear-based energy underneath that, so that we can, and I can then show you how to transform that, to remove that, to dissolve the fear-based energy and actually transform that pattern into higher frequency energy that serves you and the situation that has been triggering it is really, really quite profound. And from that context, then just seeing how you can step into a whole new level of self-mastery in your life. And, you know, from my own experience, it's not even, you know, before I learned this work, I used to think I had to think my way out of certain situations, think my way out of triggers and issues that were bothering me. And this work is a whole new level of, for me, you know, I've been practicing energy work and, you know, living my life as, oh, everything is energy. But this for me is a whole new quantum leap of, wow, all I have to do is remove the fear and see how I can raise the frequency of that pattern there and take action from there. It's so simple and so profound. And when I say simple, I mean, it's that straightforward. Simple doesn't always mean easy, because sometimes we have resistance that comes up and gets in the way. Sometimes we have attachment to the patterns. Sometimes there is this whole story that is attached to the pattern that we really just don't want to let go of, you know. But when we really just allow ourselves to acknowledge, oh my gosh, there's a fear of criticism in here, or if it's in relation to something, you know, like something that came up recently that was causing a problem. I wouldn't say even a problem, but I was noticing there was a pattern coming up for me in relation to how I was relating to somebody. And I noticed, oh my gosh, there's actually a feeling of betrayal in me in relation to something that had happened, and I hadn't actually allowed myself to fully feel that. So it was coming between me and that person, even though they weren't actually betraying me. It was just one instance that I had perceived as betrayal that was actually starting to get in between the two of us then. So then I was able to, oh my gosh, I've been feeling betrayal all along. I was able to raise the frequency, bring it up into my heart and allow it to dissolve. And then I could actually see the person for who they were, not through the lens of these glasses of betrayal and trying to avoid being betrayed again in the future. So it was really, really, really quite profound. And so I know some of you who've joined, some of you aren't actually from Richmond and Midlothian. Oh, hey, hi, Michelle. Oh, hi, Nikki. I see you. Thank you for joining. And so for those of you, Michelle, I know you're familiar with this work. For those of you who are in Richmond, who are in Midlothian, to let you know that I'll be teaching that Introduction to the Personality, the Awaken Life program here in just less than 2 weeks, actually, on Saturday, October the 19th, in the Spiritual Flow Yoga Studio here in Midlothian. I'll share some details and the link actually in the comments afterwards. And for anyone who's joining after who didn't make the live, I'll have some information, and I'll be following in there if anyone wants to make any comments or have any questions. And for those of you, I see Erin, you're over in California. I know I have some friends over in California as well who also do this work. I know I have a friend, Michelle, down in San Diego, actually. If you fancy a trip down to San Diego and you're interested in engaging in some of this work a little bit more. Yeah, and so I want to thank you all. Like I said, I'm going to post this video. It's going to be on my page if you want to, and if I'm always available if you want to message and find out more about this work. I can share, even on a one-on-one, I can share even more examples of how I've applied this work in my life and the impact it's made. And of course, if you want to have anything you'd like to share yourself. So I want to thank you all for joining me on my first Facebook Live. I'm sure now that I've done one, there'll probably be many, many more. Thank you all, and I wish you all a wonderful evening. Thank you.